Happy Mardi Gras. Of course, Mardi Gras is, I think it's French for Fat Tuesday, and it's the day before Lent. The idea of feasting before the time of fasting begins. I doubt if Mardi Gras will be celebrated very much anywhere again this year because of COVID restrictions. But more importantly, I wanted to come to you today because tomorrow does begin Lent. And Lent is that special time. It's a special time in a way of returning to the Lord. For any of us who have strayed this way or that way, or maybe even in our spiritual practices, it's a time of coming back and intensifying in these 40 days as we prepare for the celebration of that Paschal mystery, the Holy Triduum. This will be a special time of coming back. Bishop Wojkowiak has written a letter to the diocese. As you know, for almost a year, we have been dispensed from attending daily Mass. And Bishop now is encouraging people to return. And he's saying it's important. Watching the Mass on TV might be one thing, but you can't receive Holy Communion virtually. And you can't be present before the altar and with God's people virtually. So he is saying in his letter, and the letter, by the way, is found in this email we're sending you. There's a link to that letter. The bishop is saying that the dispensation continues for those who might still find it dangerous because of health reasons or other concerns, who might not want to attend Mass. But he's saying that Lent, it's been almost a year. Lent is a time for us to return. We hope that many who haven't been to Mass for a while will find their way here once again. And so tomorrow's Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday, it's interesting. It's an important day for Catholics. It begins Lent, and there's something dramatic about it. Whenever do we do anything like we do on Ash Wednesday, receiving those ashes on our forehead? I was talking this morning to a few from other parishes. Some parishes have people bring their palms from Palm Sunday, which many didn't get last year, bringing their palms and burning the palms to make the ashes. What a great custom. I kind of find it troublesome because burning those palms doesn't make a very good ash. I mean, it's kind of crumbly and doesn't want to stick. So when you go to the religious goods store, now can you see this packet of ashes? It is not much. And yet it says 1,000. It's for 1,000 people. And it's just a very fine dust. And I think they add a little oil so that it does stick to your forehead. You'll find that some people receiving ashes this year, some churches are just going to sprinkle them over your head. That's one of the options. And even though I have been very COVID conscious, I don't think placing ashes on your forehead will be dangerous. I mean, it seems that the COVID is spread more from what comes out of our mouth, those particles, even as we speak. So when ashes are distributed here in church tomorrow, 4 Masses at 9, noon, 5:30, and 7, they will be placed on your forehead, but the words won't be spoken. They'll just be spoken once by me, and then we'll just silently impose the ashes. As I said, ashes are important for Catholics, and they're very dramatic. But what's interesting is there's not an obligation to receive ashes. I mean, it's a day that begins the season of Lent, and it is a ritual, but it's not an obligation. So if you can't make it that day, tomorrow, or if you choose not to, you're not obliged. What's the obligation for tomorrow? Fasting. Fasting and abstaining from meat. The obligation for Lent is also fasting on Good Friday and abstaining from meat on every Friday. Those are the obligations. Sometimes people ask me about giving things up for Lent, but it's all their personal things. Your personal things, you can do whatever you like. But in terms of the church together, 2 days of fasting, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, Fridays abstaining, and tomorrow, Ash Wednesday, abstaining from meat. And of course, as Catholics, the obligation is to attend Mass on Sunday. You know, the Eucharist, the summit of what we do. And so the Sundays of Lent are even more important than Ash Wednesday. The Sunday themes that come to us in the scriptures and receiving Eucharist, that's what's important. So I'd encourage you, if you can, to think about coming back to church soon. But in addition, you know, we all celebrate Lent, and people have different things that they like to give up. Another form of fasting, you know, something that I let go of that really makes this season special and has a sense of penitence. Over the weekend, I was hearing confessions on Saturday, and I was giving everybody the same penance. I was saying, I want you to spend a little time thinking about what your Lent will be like. In other words, defining it. Are you gonna give something up? Are you gonna do some extra devotion? Are you gonna make another day of the week a day of abstinence in addition to Friday? Would you do something special? Is there ways that you'll pray? Stations of the Cross. I'm here before our Stations of the Cross, which are, they're not exactly abstract, although they're labeled, and you'd have to know the stations to do them well here. But one of the interesting things is the Stations of the Cross don't have to be a common ritual, even though we often do them together on Fridays during Lent. You can do them individually. I was doing a little searching, and even on that website, Formed, the Catholic website that we subscribe to, that you can get on your computer, Formed has a number of different stations. And then I Googled Catholic Stations of the Cross, and I found YouTube videos that you could pray and have somebody reflecting on the Stations of the Cross with you, even at home. You know, so there's so many ways that we can celebrate Lent and make this time special. But I'd ask you, just as I ask those in confession, I'm not your penance, but maybe even before tomorrow, to take a little time and to, in your own mind, say, and what will my Lent look like? How will these special days be special for me? What kind of devotion will I do? When will I plan, maybe planning on going to confession during Lent, the sacrament of reconciliation? For me, will this be maybe a time to come back to church if I've been away? Have a great Lent. It leads to a blessed Easter.